Hey guys, it's Katie at scrappandkatie.ctmh.com, and this is the start of week 4 of the She's Crafty mini paper pad class, and I will leave a link to all the girls that are joining down below.
Okay, so for week 4 of the She's Crafty mini paper pad class, here is a look at the sketch we'll be using. Now this original sketch came from Hip Kit Club, so if you are familiar with that, I love all their sketches. So I'm really excited about this one because even though it has the hearts, I'm not going to use hearts, but I am going to try to use a repetitive nature over here. And then here is the kit that I chose to use. Now, if you recall, I made these kits several weeks ago, and I'll link that video down below if you just kind of want to see my thought process on that. So I do have a couple of sheets here. These are retired from Close to My Heart. They came from the Hello Lovely line. And then the paper packet I decided to use, or the mini paper pad, had these in there. And I love the summer vibe going on. And then I pulled out some Pink Fresh Studio stickers. They're kind of puffy, so I'm excited to try those out. Then I've got some Doodlebug little sprinkles, and then just a whole bunch of little doodads, I guess you would say. I've got some ribbon. I've got some little chipboard kind of label-like things, hearts. So all of that. So I'm really excited to use those. And then here are the photos that I pulled out. So it's of my children in our pool in the backyard. And so I actually went into PicMonkey and just created a collage and just dropped all of these photos in there because the sketch really only has room for one photo. So I've got that. I did print a couple of extra kind of layouts to see how I would play with that, just in case I decide to go a different route. But I like the idea of one photo, meaning 4x6, but a whole bunch of different photos in that collage. So let's get started.
So I'm going to cut the zip strips off of this 12 by 12 since it will be my base page. And then I'm going to just start cutting apart these little pieces that came with the mini pad. They're really like 3 by 4 note cards or project life card type things. So I'm just going to kind of play around. I have the sketch over to the right, kind of keeping in mind those repetitive shapes. And I do decide that I need to pull out some more of that pattern paper from that mini pad that I'm using. So I've done that for patterns as well as titles. So I'm really liking this yellow color to back that photo. So I'm going to just tack that down right quick and then go over to my cutter and trim it down. Now, before I actually do that with the photo that I've chosen, I've decided to cut apart those other little collage options just to kind of play around with this. One of my very initial thoughts was to have the square photo like the sketch, and then instead of the hearts, have these little bitty square photos all around. So that's what I'm trying to do right now. I end up not liking it, so I am going to put all those to the side and then get on with cutting the mat for that photo collage that I decided to use. So I am going to back it with that polka dotted, it's like a real dark blue color. And I mean, there is a tiny mat around that. And then I'm going to just pull out all the embellishments so I can start playing around with those, keeping in mind that those embellishments will be my repetitive shapes, so to speak. So one of these little 6x8 pieces had this Sweet Summer Dreams or Sweet Summer Days title at the bottom. So I'm just going to dovetail that piece and it's going to be tucked in from the top of my photo. And then I'm going to look at some other pieces of the 6x8. Now, hindsight, I really like what I'm about to do. But I just keep looking at the sketch and I'm realizing that I'm just getting further and further away from the sketch. So I end up changing it, but just keep in mind that I'm really liking that dark pattern paper with the floaties, and then of course that light blue with the people on the rafts. And I'm going to lay out some little clusters, and then again, notice that the sketch, I really got off topic. So I'm just going to cut some more stickers and add to my little groupings here. Now, I really love the Pink Fresh stickers. These are super old. I have no idea where I got them. I think at one time I was on a design team for a scrapbooking company, and they probably came in one of my kits, but I mean, that's been years ago. But I'm really liking them. So here's where I look at the sketch and I decide, Katie, that looks nothing like the sketch. So I'm going to take it down to the bare bones and then basically rebuild it. I've pulled out several size punches from my stash, and I've decided that the circles will be my repetitive shapes. So you see me just cutting those pattern papers, that floaty paper, as well as the ring floaties. And I've just cut several in the different sizes. On the people floaty ones, I do try to keep some of those center on those circles, just because I think that that's pretty neat just to have that person floating in the middle of the circle. So I'm going to sort these circles and then start laying them out by color. Now, I definitely want those darker circles separated, and then the lighter circles will kind of fill in. And I do definitely want big and small circles. And then in looking at the sketch, I see where some of those hearts are overlapped. So I'm going to lay these out and then go ahead and lay out the clusters like I had them before. One good thing about those clusters is when I decide to change my mind totally, like I did on this layout, I just drag them off to the side, and then so they're kind of kept together. So I kind of know where they go. Now, sometimes the placement is all off, but in essence, it's really the cluster that I decided on in the first place. It's like taking a test. You know, they say go with your first instinct. That's kind of like what I do with my embellishment clusters. So you see here, I am just gluing down the larger circles and kind of grouping them with the smaller circles. Now those smaller circles, I am going to add 3D foam to the back just to kind of add some dimension and pop them off the page. So I'm going to finish tacking down these larger circles, and then here is where I bring out that foam tape. I'm just going to cut little squares and put them on the back. I'm not going to glue them down quite yet, just to make sure that I have them where I want them. So I've done that, and then I'm going to bring my photo back in. Now I'm going to also add 3D foam to the back of my photo as well to add that dimension and then just make it truly a focal piece. When I have so much going on, I still want the photos and the story to remain the focus of my layout. After all, that's why I scrapbook. So I usually almost always add foam to the back of my photos. So you'll see me using that those foam sheets really often if you are new to my channel. So right here, I'm just trying to back that little, it's a bracket frame. And I try to back that with several layers of those foam sheets, just so it'll stick up higher than my photo. And then right here, I'm just going to add some adhesive finally to those smaller circles and get those adhered down to my layout base. Now I am using tape adhesive. I know that a lot of people prefer liquid adhesive, and I'm almost to that point. This tape adhesive, sometimes it likes to stick really, really well, and sometimes it doesn't. My only problem is with the liquid adhesive, I have to be really committed to where that is going, and I'm scared. So I'm not quite there yet, but you may see in some near future videos where I switch over to that liquid adhesive for that foam. So right here, I'm trying to remember what that cluster at the top right of my photo looks like. So I kind of put those down and then definitely know where those hearts want to go. So I've adhered those. And then I'm just going to keep on looking at my embellishments that I pulled, as well as those Pink Fresh Studio stickers. And then I'm going to pull out these Doodlebug little glitter gems or whatever they are. And I like that they're almost the color of water. So they appear to be almost like bubbles, or that's at least what I'm having them represent in this layout. So I'm just using my paper piercer. They are self-adhesive, so I'm just using my paper piercer to take those off the carrier sheet and put them on my layout. So I'm pretty happy with where it is now. I'm to a stopping point until I can decide on other elements. So I've decided to go ahead and draw my journaling lines with my T-ruler and a pencil, because I think on this layout I'm actually going to erase the pencil lines. So right here I'm going to take that zip strip from that 12 by 12 base page, and it's really got some neat sentiments in it. So I'm going to cut those apart, and I'm going to use those kind of in between the circles to add just some more, almost like subtitles. So the sentiments say at the very top, it's perfect moment, and then remember, life is good, happy day, and love this. And I just love that all of those sentiments can go perfectly with these pull photos. So I'm going to adhere those down. Now I am going to have to remove those hearts because I want that strip a little higher than the one on the right. So now I'm just going to make sure that all these little sentiments and everything are really stuck down. I am going to doodle around that title just a little bit, and you'll be able to see those doodles here in just a second on these still shots. So again, this is week 4 of the mini paper pad class. You saw the sketch. I will leave a link down below to the Facebook group that Shannon has set up for this class so you can play along with us. And I've loved having you stop by and watch. Don't forget, if you liked what you saw, I would love to have you leave me a comment and a thumbs up. And as always, I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and sign up for notifications. I will see you guys on my next video, and definitely next week for another class.